Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa. Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, West Alabama, Internet world. How are we doing today? Downtown Northport. We're right here on YouTube, on BamaCentral.com, on Facebook and Twitter. This is the Joe Gaither Show, and we're hoping you're having a beautiful Wednesday. We've had a great week so far on the program, getting ready for the Texas Longhorns. You're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. Go tell a friend about the program. Subscribe, rate, and review. Earlier in the week, if you missed it, we had our friend Kirk Bowles from the Austin American-Statesman yesterday talking about the Texas Longhorns and getting us really an in-depth look at the Texas Longhorns. He's been covering Texans since 1973. So if you missed that, make sure you go back on to our episode yesterday and you can hear his breakdown of the Texas Longhorns last year's game, coming over to Alabama, sitting in the upper deck, all the aspects of the upcoming week's game you can hear on yesterday's program. And we debuted a new segment, SEC Silly Sound Montage of the Week. It was the first week, so we heard from our friends Nick Saban. We heard from Billy Napier. My favorite was Shane Beamer, Lane Kiffin. Lots of silly sounds from post-game press conferences. You can go back and watch that on yesterday's episode. Like we said, happy Wednesday. Hope you're having a great day so far. We will hear from Nick Saban tonight at 6 p.m. He's going to be in front of the media in the Naylor-Stone Media Room. I'll be over there tonight listening to Nick Saban. We'll see if we can set him off for the week. No, just kidding. We want to see Coach Saban be nice and docile, focused going into the week against Texas. So we will hear that tonight at 6 p.m. And you can be able to follow all that coverage right there at BamaCentral at BamaCentral.com, the Sports Illustrated home for the University of Alabama. So we're going to have a fun episode today. I am blessed and proud to welcome in a friend of mine, Mr. Jason Stonehouse. He is an author and a pastor. You can hear him and see him right here in Tuscaloosa at St. Mark Church over 11 a.m. on Sundays. But he's also a big-time studier of leaders and an out-of-towner. Had a great experience, well, hopefully a great experience in Tuscaloosa already for the last several months, but in Tuscaloosa and Bryant-Denny Stadium over the weekend. Saw his first Alabama game over the weekend, and so I wanted to get kind of the fresh perspective. Look, everybody who's watching this show, you've probably been to a dozen and a half Alabama games, so I want to hear what makes it special to a newcomer, what makes it special to an out-of-towner, and really just kind of get the out-of-town perspective and the fresh look at the Alabama Crimson Tide. So, Jason, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're having a great day and then ready to get the rest of the week going.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. It's great to be here. Great to have this opportunity. And it's been fun, too. I grew up in New Jersey outside of New York City, lived in Minnesota for the last 16 years. And so just came to Alabama here in January. So, yeah, everything's kind of new. The humidity, the heat, I'm experiencing it all here in Alabama. But, yeah, it was really a fun opportunity to come to the game on Saturday.
We'll give it another couple of weeks. The humidity will dissipate a bit, and it'll be beautiful outside. We'll have fall for about 2 weeks, and so that'll be perfect. Actually, the last couple of seasons, it's been late winter, so maybe we'll have a long fall, and that'll be a lot of fun. There's nothing like the Alabama summer.
Yeah, no, that's great. So when I came to the game, I really approach something like this from really three different perspectives. So first of all, one of the things I do in my role is I design experiences. So I was very interested, and I showed up at the game 2 hours beforehand because I wanted to kind of get the experience of what everybody was talking about and the buzz going around Alabama football. And so, my parents and I, my wife and I, we walked around the quad, try to take in some of the tailgating and the craziness of all the tents and everything going on there. And then really looking into the game. So I kind of looked at it, first of all, from an experiential standpoint. Secondly, I look at this from a leadership perspective, because as you said, one of the things I've been doing kind of as a side hustle is I work with CEOs, executives, and leaders in all different industries. And so I'm very intrigued by people like Nick Saban and coaches and those quarterbacks and those who have leadership roles. So I paid very much attention to the leadership aspect of things. And then third perspective I come at is just as a new fan. I have been following the NFL for the last decade, but really college football has not been something that's been on my radar. And so when I came down here to Tuscaloosa, there is no NFL. So, this is what you do. And I told everybody, I said, I don't have a college team. And so I am available to the highest bidder to be their fan. So,
well, Alabama bid on your services. Oh, we got you in on an NIL deal. Yay, Alabama! If y'all missed the Yay Alabama episode with Jay McPhillips, y'all can hear about signing up for Yay Alabama, so Jason Stonehouse can get more NIL money for jumping in and being an Alabama fan. You gave us a little background right there. No college football experience from Minnesota. Were you a Vikings fan, or I know you're from New Jersey? We got to get you another New Jersey. What's the NFL background? New York Giants.
So New York Giants, but really, I didn't really get into NFL or really any football until I moved to Minnesota. So yes, Minnesota Vikings all the way. Kirk Cousins, big fan, and obviously Justin Jefferson and those folks that are playing up there in the Vikings. So I just can't find it on TV down here in Alabama. So, I just, Anyway, so yeah, NFL.
I watch my Chicago Bears. I'll have to teach you how I watch them through backdoor channels. That's not for public consumption.
That sounds great. Yeah, so going to the game was a blast. And like I said, before there was even a play happening, there was so much anticipation that gets built up with the 400-piece $1 million band and everything moving around, spelling out words and doing all kinds of amazing things there. And they just do such a phenomenal job, just really starting to build the intensity and build the anticipation and the excitement in our fan base to be able to say, hey, let's see what this game's got for us.
Absolutely. Did you get to see Walk of Champions? Everybody walking into the stadium right before. I guess if you were there early, you were probably in a decent spot to see the Walk of Champions getting off the bus, going into the locker room. That's really probably where the experience starts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't think I saw that. I got into my seat about an hour before, so I saw some players out on the field kind of kicking and throwing and that kind of thing. But, and then they all left and then came back, did the whole tunnel walk and all of that kind of thing.
So that tunnel walk, they do the same sort of thing from University Boulevard into Bryant-Denny Stadium, and the fans line up. All the fellows are in suits coming off the bus, and they've all got already their equipment already in the stadium. And it's only about a minute and a half. It's not not very long because from University to Bryant-Denny Stadium is less than a quarter mile. It's a tenth of a mile. Maybe it probably takes you 5 minutes to walk it. And so the people are going nuts. And then from there, exactly as you said, it's video boards, every highlight packages, and you get the $1 million band rolling in there. First off, do you think that band's worth $1 million?
It's pretty impressive. I'm telling you, I don't know that I don't have $1 million to spend on it, but they were very, very impressive. And I couldn't believe how they spelt, Bama facing one side, and then they were able to turn that around and face the other side. And I was like, do they have markers on the ground? How do they know where to stand so that they can spell out all these words? It was crazy.
I got to get my man Brady on the show. Brady is a tuba player in the $1 Million Band. He was a fan of my previous show, and we got connected. And really, the same work that the football players do. Now, obviously, it's not seen in the same light, but they're out there in the summer. There's a band practice field right here by the Arby's, and they march that and they rep that over and over and over until they can't get it wrong. So those guys are feeling and dealing with the heat and the humidity just like the football players are in the summer. And really, I'm grateful that those guys put in a lot of work because they do set the tone. You got to get you got to get Yay Alabama going, and they set the tone really for the whole entire experience.
Yeah, it was really, really impressive. So, and I think my favorite part probably was that tunnel walk where, everything kind of goes quiet and you see up on the screen and Nick Saban is there with all the players behind him, and that march out of the tunnel is just something it's just really exciting, and you just can't help but get moved by that whole experience. So
100%. You get the Thunderstruck in the background, and it's really the AC/DC's guitar that gets you rolling, and Nick Saban. Dum, 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 dum. If you ever get a chance, we need to get you hooked up with some of the guys over on staff. The what is it? Christian ministry, Christian. what's the main Christian ministry that's over there. But we'll get you hooked up with them, and we'll get you into that tunnel. The guys are chanting basically a fraternity chant. It's not a Greek chant. It's a chant that they made up years ago for Alabama athletics, B-Sci Phi, which doesn't stand for anything really, but it is a intimidating, moving moment. I've done it a couple of times, and it takes what you saw on the screen and takes you into another level. You can run through a brick wall. I imagine it helps set the tone. So as someone who sets experiences, as someone who makes experiences, what was something, or what are some things that you would like to take away? Obviously, church services are a little different than football games, but you still want to experience excitement going to church. It doesn't have to be boring.
Right.
You might have a misconception. What is something that you might have taken away, even if it was a small note that you said, hey, I might want to start working on this, or this might be something I could mix into things?
Well, I think a lot of times we tend to look at an experience as when the event starts, that is the moment that it is. And really, the experience starts so much earlier than when the scheduled time is. So even in a church service, to say, oh, yeah, we start at 11, and before then, we don't pay any attention to anything. That's a waste in my mind, because people are showing up early, and you want to give people a reason to show up early. You want to have that opportunity. And so I think just looking at how much thought is put into what's going to happen even an hour before the actual game, that's going to then feed into what that experience is going to be, I think is an important aspect of things, is just to realize that people are there and you want to give them something that's there. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, Joe, particularly coming out of COVID, is you had a lot of people who took like the religious experience or their church experience and they moved it online. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think it's wonderful that people are still able to connect, especially when they're out of town, those kinds of things. But what's happened is, and we're seeing this all across the country, is that people are not returning to church. They're staying at home. They're doing it online. And it's similar that some people would actually enjoy watching Alabama football on TV more than they like the experience. But what I took away, to answer your question, is the folks that are designing this are saying, you know what, we want people to show up in the stadium. We want people to be here. We want people to experience this. We want to have the loudest, craziest, fans that we could possibly have. And I think that's the same thing for church. There's something different when you come to church, when you experience with the community, as opposed kind of doing your own thing and just being with your family. And so I think that's one of the things that if we as church people and leaders are not taking the time to design experiences that you have to be there to experience, then we're really missing a great opportunity. And I think part of the reason why people aren't coming to church sometimes is because we aren't offering them an experience. We aren't offering them an opportunity to connect with God and to connect with each other in really intentional ways like we could be.
That's awesome. I think that's a strong takeaway. Did you notice, or what were your takeaways from the MC announcer, Mr. Zig? I think it's Zig Ziglar. He gets in there. He had you hold up your lights on your phone, lights up, lights down. You can't experience that in your home really in the same fashion.
Right. Yeah. There's just something about that experience. Now, I will compare it because I did go. The only other college game I went to was University of Minnesota, the Golden Gophers. Yep. And so I went to a game there, and I was really disappointed because I had heard college students and that whole thing. And so I went to the game, and it just really was kind of dead. There wasn't a lot of energy. There wasn't a lot of cheering. I mean, the announcer did the best he could to try to rally people up, but it just didn't happen. And so I was so anxious and excited to get to an Alabama game because I heard every time I told people about my experience in Minnesota, they're like, oh, you got to come to Alabama. You got to see this. You got to experience this. So, and that was very much true. There's something about the people around you, the fan base, all of that, that really makes that difference. And again, I can't not compare it to like church life and all of that, because there's something about the people that you're interacting with. And if the people you're interacting with are not interested and all of that, we all influence one another. And so we have a great opportunity to do that.
Well, Alabama fans are going to have a great opportunity to influence everyone this weekend. They need to get off their hands. Jason, one reputation Alabama fans have is a little bit of a wine and cheese kind of judgmental crowd. It was a little rowdy. It was probably about a scale of 5 or 6, but it needs to be at an 8, 9, 10 this weekend when Texas comes to town. So really put a challenge out to everyone to let go of, not, obviously don't do anything too crazy, but let go of your inhibitions and get into the game this weekend when Texas comes to town, because those guys certainly did last year out there in Austin. What like you said, you're one of the you work with CEOs and leaders, and people who would like to have a little more information can read at the calmconfidentleader.com and check out your book. You also had a new book that actually got dropped today. It's a very exciting day for you. The Me I Want to Be. We'll hit that at the very end of the show, at the end of the program. Absolutely, hold that up for us. One of the takeaways, the second takeaway really is for your experience on Nick Saban. Nick Saban, throughout the last 4, 5, 6 years, has really put an emphasis through fall camp of bringing in strong leaders, bringing in great athletes to speak to the team, to tell them leadership secrets. We heard Ken Griffey Jr. this year. We heard Doc Rivers this year. Sage Steele was a part of that group this year. We've heard many people. Kobe Bryant, when he was alive. Michael Jordan has zoomed into the team as well. So Coach Saban has been able to bring many great leaders and speakers into the team. As you, a student of leaders as well, what is something that maybe you noticed from Coach Saban, or something that since you've come to Tuscaloosa in January that you've been able to take away from really Coach Saban's steady hand on this Alabama football team?
Yeah, and I think that would be what I would point out is a good leader, you're going to notice that presence. There's going to be a calm. There's going to be a sense that, okay, the leader's got this, he's got a game plan. He's going to be able to move forward. And that's why I say, like, even him walking out in that, from that tunnel and coming out just really set the tone that, okay, guys, we don't have to worry. We've got a leader at the helm. We can do that. And I noticed the same thing with Jalen Milroe, on the quarterback. There was something about when he was, behind the ball, had that opportunity. You could tell he was in charge of the field. And that's really what good leaders do. They bring that calm, they bring that peace, they bring that steadiness to say, hey, we don't have to worry because our leaders got us. And I think that's one of the things that I work specifically with leaders on their inner state, So I really, as you said, my name of my company, the Calm Confident Leader. And that's that idea of just what do we have to do as leaders internally so that we can step on the field, metaphorically speaking, and bring that calm and bring that confidence so that those who look to us are able to follow us going forward. And that's what I saw Nick Saban does. That's what I see in Jalen Milroe as well. So I'm really excited to continue to watch him do well in the coming weeks.
Well, Jalen Milroe is a huge, interesting story because obviously you're replacing Bryce Young, the starter of the last 2 years, winner of the Heisman Trophy, and went on to be the number 1 overall draft pick. So there's a lot of question marks, especially considering Jalen's a little bit struggles in last year's season with throwing the football, whether he was going to be able to be an effective leader for this team, whether he was going to be able to drive the offense down the field, both in the ground or in the air. Just maybe elaborate a little bit on what you saw out of Jalen Milroe, because really you've had a mixed Alabama fan base over the last 6 months. It's going to be Jalen Milroe. It's going to be Ty Simpson. Oh, here comes a transfer. It's going to be Tyler Buckner. Even a freshman from Georgia got a little bit of love early in fall camp, Dylan Lonergan. I do think he will be a good player eventually. But really on Monday, right after the week, Coach Saban made Jalen Milroe available to the media, which is really as good a sign as any that this is the guy. He's basically held the quarterbacks out through all fall camp. No quarterbacks can talk to the media. We're having a competition. But once he gets given the 15 minutes in front of the podium, to me, without saying it, that's the coronation. He's going to be the guy going forward. What did you notice out of Jalen Milroe? Obviously, the skills, the athleticism is there. And please, if you want to talk about that, feel free. But what did you notice about his mental game that really you think might be a good sign going forward for Alabama?
Yeah, so I would say one of the biggest things I noticed was just his ability to adjust on the fly. I think when he realized that things were not moving, particularly in one in his first touchdown that he ran in, he immediately was able to regroup. Okay, there's nothing there. I'm going to take it. I'm going to go. I'm going to use my legs. I'm going to make it happen. And he did that. Now, I'll be honest, a little bit of me was like, oh, is this what he's going to do all night? Is he always going to be running? Is it going to make it his own show? Is he doing his own thing? But I think looking back on saying, no, that was a wise move in the midst of the moment, saying, I don't have another option. I'm going to go for it and I'm going to get our team on the board. But then one of the next plays for him to make the long throw, to continue to move that ball down the field, score the touchdown. I just saw that ability to adapt. And that's really, I think, very, very important for a quarterback is when you come out of that huddle, you're looking for a main plan. You've got your game plan. We're going to go to this guy. We're going to do this thing. So to be able to adjust in the moment is really, really critical to be a good quarterback.
Well, I'm really excited about Jalen Milroe, and you talk about his calmness, and you kind of have seen that in the media after his performance. He was very relaxed with the media, and even myself in that room sometimes I get nervous, and I've been in there a bunch of times. And for him, this is now my team. And then on Monday again, he was as relaxed as can be, going so far as to most of the time when they say, "Okay, that's it, your time is over," the player just walks right off the podium. He turned and looked at the media, gave everybody a big smile, and said, "Roll Tide!" And so I think he's really excited about this opportunity. Jalen Milroe, being from Texas, saying that he has a lot of immediate family members that grew up Texas fans. I think it's going to be an interesting week for him. You've come to Alabama in a very, very kind of pivotal point in Nick Saban's career and Nick Saban's tenure here at Alabama. Alabama has been kings of college football for quite some time, but Georgia is now back-to-back national champions, and we're in a bit of a state of flux. What was your experience like as a fan? You talk about the presentation and the excitement, and then taking away lessons from the leaders of the team. What was your experience like as a fan, and really just as a fan of football? Did you see a team on Saturday night that can make a lot of noise this college football season?
Yeah, I wonder if part of me, I guess, holds back judgment because of because of the opponent, and I just don't know. Again, not knowing college football at all, I don't know, is that a formidable opponent or not? Like you said, I think everybody that I'm reading is saying, hey, this Saturday is going to be the real test to say where's this team at. So I don't know that I can make a clear judgment on where we're at. I think being from out of the state, I heard a lot about the arrogance. I heard a lot about the meanness of whether it be Nick Saban, whether it be, even the fans in Alabama and that kind of thing. So to me, I'll be honest with you, Joe, like when I saw Jalen's press conferences, to see the humility, to see the, hey, I want to keep getting better, 1% better, 1% better, that whole idea, to me was really encouraging, because I think it's a little different than the reputation I've heard about Alabama, which is that arrogance and that, kind of putting other people down, which goes far beyond maybe competition and all of that. So that was a concern I had going in. I've not experienced it myself yet, seeing the little bit that I've read on Nick Saban, the little bit that I've seen him do, but I don't know if that's him. Maybe he's got a reason to be proud and a reason to be arrogant. I'm not sure. But I haven't seen any arrogance, so I can't really comment to that. But I was really, really encouraged by Jalen's press conference and the way that he held himself in that setting.
I would say continue to watch Jalen Milroe, even from a spiritual perspective. He's a pretty active member over at Calvary Baptist Church right here on Bryant Drive, corner of Bryant and 10th. Obviously, you're busy on Sundays, but you might be able to hear stories and tales of what he's dealing with. I just want to elaborate on that topic on the previous topic about arrogance or meanness of Alabama fans. Now, every fan base has its 10%, and often the 10%ers are a little bit louder than the rest of them. What has been your experience with Alabama fans since January?
Just a big emphasis on obviously the team, and and I think so much too. I don't think so much the arrogance or the meanness that I haven't experienced any of it. I've only experienced encouragement and excitement on that end. Although people are telling me that if Alabama loses on a Saturday night, that people may not come to church the next day.
I
So
would say that is true.
I'm like, wait, that's taking football now to another level that
They'll sleep
that
in and
maybe it
watch
shouldn't
it
be.
online
But
in their PJs.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know, but my experience has not been negative at all right now, so I can't speak to that at all. So
That's great to hear.
yeah.
Obviously, we want to make sure. I want everyone to feel welcome. New fans. You want to get everybody on board. I'd rather. I mean, people say, "Oh, bandwagon. Who cares? Jump in and join us." I believe in the brand, and I think that it's going in a great direction. All right, so well, to kind of wrap us up here, I want to give you a chance to talk to Greg Byrne. Greg Byrne directs everything, the athletic director, and he's kind of makes the final call on everything, all the experiences that go on in the stadium. Do you have any advice of improving the experience before, during, or after the game to get to make it more conducive to new fans, to older fans, to younger fans, to anyone really wanting to get involved with Alabama football?
I would say one thing right away is I didn't know where to go when I showed up at the stadium. It was not clear. I ended up standing in a line for a while. I got to the front of it and they said, "No, you're on the upper deck. You're not down here and you need to go there." So I had already spent time in line and then had to go. So there was not clear signage on where I was supposed to go, what I was supposed to do. And, so that would be one thing that I think could be cleaned up a little
Fair.
bit. And I think the other thing would be, I think, to decide which of the elements are like favorites and do those every game, and then maybe mix it up, maybe bring some variety in some of these other things so that not every game is identical as far as, because even I talked to some fans and they're like, "Oh, wait till the third quarter. They're going to do this lights up thing and lights down thing." And, it's like, maybe that is a favorite and maybe it needs to happen at exactly the same time at every single game. But I think just to bring some variety will allow that to be an experience every week rather than just having the same exact thing happening at the same exact times each time, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. That would be my advice as far as the experience is concerned.
Well, Greg Byrne, we're going to get him to take some notes. I'm a little disappointed in Greg this week. We aren't treating our Texas future conference brethren in a very respectful manner. Now, granted, they didn't treat us very respectful last year, sticking all of our fans and everybody up in the upper deck. I was hopeful that Greg Byrne would just keep everything as business as usual with visiting fans. They're always in the Northwest end zone, upper and lower bowl. But no, he says, "Oh, you did it to us. We're going to do it to you." I was a little disappointed. I thought we should have taken a high road and said, we're Alabama. We don't act that way. But, Greg's going to do his own thing in that fashion. Are you going to get to another game this year, or can I convince you to come to basketball with me? Because, Jason, I like football. I do like football. But I lose my daggum brain at basketball games.
Do you really? Wow. Yeah, I actually got to go to a basketball game last spring, in the spring. So I did get to go to one game, and I'm really excited because I'm a huge Brooklyn Nets fan. And so, our center, I guess, at Alabama now is going to be playing for the Brooklyn Nets this fall. Clowney, I think is
Noah
who it was.
Clowney.
Yeah. So I'm excited to be able to see him and just know that he came from Alabama. So yes, absolutely. I'm really excited actually to watch the Texas game on TV because I think there's some plays I missed and some close-ups I wish I could get, and even in the experience in the arena or in the stadium last Saturday, there was a couple times where I'm like, I wish I could see the replay on that, and they either I missed it or they didn't do it or whatever. And so I'm looking forward to getting that on TV this week. So, but yeah, I would definitely go back to a game. It was a great experience. I'd love to go again.
I'll second you right there. The replays are a little hard to come by in Bryant-Denny Stadium. They're selective about when they put them on. If it's against Alabama, they ain't putting it on there. But I do second you right there. I really appreciate you hanging out with us on a Wednesday. And you please, everybody, if you want to check out Jason on Sundays, you can see us at the Arc at 11 o'clock at St. Mark, right there on McFarland Boulevard, right there in the back of the Big Family Life Center. It's a great experience. I would second that. You had a big day. It's you released a book, and it came out paperback, hardback. Really, tell us about the me I want to be.
Okay, so the me I want to be is really about the last 2 years of my life, which has been a major growth curve for me, and just really helping me to become somebody who I've always longed to be. I wanted, to be that relationally, to have calm in the midst of chaos, those kinds of things. So we're doing a message series, and it just inspired me to say, what if I put some of these things down on paper? And so the me I want to be is launching today, and so that is more of a faith-based book. But then the book, as far as the marketplace is concerned, is The Calm and Confident Leader that you can get on Amazon. And really, that book is really geared for leaders, particularly who really need help on the inner game. The calm, dealing with anxiety, dealing with worry and stress, and feeling overwhelmed. And The Calm and Confident Leader was a book really written to marketplace folks. So it's not really a faith-based book, but it's really geared to help leaders get better from the inside out. So yeah, those are my two latest books, and that would be awesome. People would check it out.
Well, we could have used you last year. Last year, one of Nick Saban's themes was maybe this team's playing with anxiety. These guys said they had anxiety. Many times over, the anxiety word was mentioned. We could have used you last year.
Yeah. Well, I had a 10-year journey with anxiety, and so a lot of what I discovered out of that, coming out of that season, really went into this book, The Calm and Confident Leader. So yeah. Anyway.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for your time. I'll see you on Sunday. Win or lose, I'll be there, but I can't promise anyone else.
Thank you very much, Joe. It's great to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. That's Jason Stonehouse, the Calm and Confident Leader. Check him out online at thecalmconfidentleader.com, or come see us on Sunday at St. Mark Church back there in the Ark at 11 a.m. We're going to keep the program rolling on a Wednesday right here on The Joe Gaither Show. All right. Welcome in. This is the Joe Gaither Show. You just heard our man Jason Stonehouse joining me. We had that conversation yesterday on Tuesday afternoon, early evening. I appreciate Jason Stonehouse giving us some of his time, giving us some of his analysis on the Alabama Crimson Tide this past weekend. Enjoying a little bit of time, the first time for him in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I was really happy to hear that he enjoyed his experience. I was happy to hear that everyone was hospitable to he and his family coming down from Minnesota, and we're going to get him into the Alabama family, get him going on a big old Roll Tide. So that was Jason Stonehouse. Again, you can follow him or listen to get his book, The Calm and Confident Leader, or The Me I Want to Be. But let's keep going on a Wednesday. We're only at 30 minutes in. Let's keep going on a Wednesday. Obviously, I went and changed my shirt. No. I'm just kidding. This was that was yesterday's discussion, and now I'm going to talk about. I have two topics that I want to get into to close out the show. One, I want to talk about what I saw when I was watching the Rice and Texas game. I watched Texas against Rice. Thankful again to Kirk Bohls from the Austin American-Statesman joining me on the program yesterday. If you missed Kirk Bohls, you can hear him on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You can listen to it on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon, anywhere that you get your podcast. Of course, right there at BamaCentral.com. Visit us at BamaCentral.com. We are the Sports Illustrated home for your Alabama Crimson Tide. Really appreciate Kirk Bohls joining us yesterday to break down the Texas Longhorns. Now, he broke it down and kind of gave us position by position analysis and talked about what he saw during the Rice game and kind of felt a little shaky on his prediction, his preseason prediction that Texas would beat Alabama. So I put on the Rice game. I DVR'd it before I went to the Alabama MTSU game this past weekend. I put it on the old DVR. I said I'm going to come back to this next week. I don't really care about this right now. I'm getting excited for Alabama. Really and truly, I was watching Auburn play. I was trying to see the first the first moments of the Hugh Freeze era. I watched Auburn play UMass instead during that time slot. So I watched Rice in Texas. I watched Rice in Texas last night, and I watched it today just a little bit over again. And so here's what we see. And this is how I think it's going to impact the game this weekend. Now, obviously, you can go back and watch Rice in Texas if you want to. But if you don't want to watch that meaningless football game, yeah, I understand that. Look, Rice is kind of like the MTSU, so the competition was not that good. Obviously, the final score, 37-10, doesn't inspire confidence for the Texas Longhorns. But what I would say, and really what I noticed for the game, was two factors and two things that I think you will see on Saturday in Bryant-Denny Stadium. First, Kirk Bowles mentioned it. Kirk Bowles mentioned it with us on the program yesterday. That offensive line, that Texas offensive line was not good. Not good. Not good at all. Not even serviceable. It was pretty poor to say the least. Texas against Rice managed to rush the ball for 158 yards. They ran 39 times. Now, some of that was due to they had their man Jonathan Baxter. Jonathan Brooks, Jonathan Brooks ended up having, I thought, looking like the best running back that they had. Now, obviously, CJ Baxter was the 5-star running back that they all expected to take on the load, and he left the game a little bit early, and he had a nice day, but to me, it was Jonathan Brooks and CJ Baxter kind of fighting for their lives, along with Jaden Blue, fighting for their lives against the Rice Owls. And we all know Rice Owls not really a superstar opponent. The Texas Longhorns running game struggled. Now, it wasn't consistent. They broke off some runs, some decent runs. Baxter had himself an 18, 19-yard run. Is that right? Yeah. Baxter had a 32-yard run. Brooks had an 18-yard run, and Jaden Blue had a 19-yard run. So you throw that together, 32, 20, and 20. That's 52 of their 100-some yards on 3 carries. Not consistent at all for the Texas Longhorns. And then if you flip to the passing game, I mean, we all know Quinn Ewers, they're going to be throwing it to Xavier Worthy, and it's not A.D. Mitchell anymore. It's Adonis Mitchell, right? Is that how they want him to say his name now? Adonai Mitchell. He doesn't want to be called A.D. Mitchell. They made that point on the broadcast, the former Georgia transfer. So it's going to be Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell on the outside. We all know that Quinn Ewers had a nice day, had nice success against Alabama in the first game until he got hurt. But goodness gracious, he was under duress against the Rice Owls. The offensive line, the Texas offensive line, did not look good against the Rice Owls. They looked very meh. They looked very subpar, in my opinion. And look, I try to see the glass half full pretty much all the time, and I wanted to see a Texas team go out and perform well so that we can get excited for a matchup this weekend that's going to be very, very close, I thought. But the Texas offensive line really looks shaky. And really looks suspect, and it makes me think about my man Dallas Turner. It makes me think about my man Jaheim Otis and Chris Braswell. It makes me think about Deontay Lawson. Those guys, they got to be watching film this week. And they got to be really enjoying what they see and really seeing opportunities to get after Quinn Ewers and really stifle the Texas running game. The Rice Owls, come on, not a defensive power, but they got 3 sacks against Quinn Ewers. Yeah, you heard me. They sacked Quinn Ewers 3 times over the weekend. Now, obviously, it didn't help them win the game because their talent level is not near the talent level that Texas is. We understand that. But hello, I know a team that has a talent level at or above the Texas talent level, residing right here in Tuscaloosa, 1 or 2 miles away over Bryant-Denny Stadium. Yeah, come on. It's going to be a slugfest on Saturday. That's kind of where I've landed here on a Wednesday. Because I was very, very impressed with the Texas defense. Now, again, it's the Rice Owls. It's not Oklahoma. It's not USC. It's not the Dallas Cowboys. It's not a big time team that they beat on Saturday. But let's be honest, Alabama didn't beat a big-time team either, and that's okay. But I thought the Alabama defense looked very, very good, and I thought the Alabama offense looked very, very efficient, taking care of a subpar opponent. I can't really say the same thing about Texas. Now, this is not a disrespectful take. I just watched one game. It was 60 minutes worth of action, and the Texas Longhorns did not look very focused on offense, did not look very physical up front on offense. Now, on the other side of the football, Pete Kwiatkowski, their defensive coordinator, he had them rocking and rolling. They ended up having 3 turnovers on the day. That's one more than the Alabama Crimson Tide team had. But, obviously Rice, not so good. Two interceptions and a fumble, forced fumble recovery. They got after JT Daniels. Yes, JT Daniels. JT Daniels is still in college, and he's playing for the Rice Owls. He went from USC to UGA to West Virginia, and now he is with the Rice Owls. So JT Daniels had a long day. Out there in Austin. Only passed the ball for, what do I have, 150 yards. 150 yards was not good. I was impressed with the Texas defense. I was impressed with the Texas defense. I was impressed with the schemes and the blitzes and the pressure packages that they put on JT Daniels, forcing him to throw the ball quickly, forcing him to throw the ball early, forcing him to play under duress largely through the entire game. And so I think that when we get into Tuscaloosa, when we get to Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday night, you're going to have two defenses that are ready to eat, ready to devour the opposing offense. And so Alabama, you're going to have to be ready. Goodness gracious, the Alabama offensive line. Look, the offensive line performed okay on Saturday against MTSU. Not amazing, but not bad. No, not bad. They were probably, what would you grade them? Give them about a B, almost a B plus, but not quite. So what's that, an 86 out of 100? That's probably where I'd stick the Alabama offensive line. You had pretty decent pass protection. The 2 sacks were given up by running back misses. Roydell Williams and Jam Miller both getting beat in blitz protection or in pass protection. So it wasn't really on the front five, the offensive line. And then we all kind of saw the first tackle for a loss on the first drive that should have been checked out of by Jalen Milroe. So not necessarily the fault of the offensive line. My issue was you didn't get a whole lot of drive off the football. You did a couple of times. Caden Proctor got himself a nice pancake block. J.C. Latham got himself a nice pancake block. You got a couple of times. Tyler Booker knocked down a guy in pass protection, and that was fun to see. But on the whole, it wasn't let's drive them off the ball. We're going to get 6 yards. We're going to get 7 yards every single rush, and I'd like to see that improve. Now, the rest of it, pretty nice little start. Obviously, you got in the end zone 5 times on the ground, and every time it was 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2, you basically were calling running plays, and you did end up getting it. So I don't have anything bad to say about the offensive line, but I'd like to see a little bit more. I'd like to see the growth a little bit further with the offensive line. And then you put it up against a Texas defensive line that looked pretty formidable. The Texas defensive line looked pretty formidable. The whole front seven really looking pretty formidable, active, and aggressive. And so I think you kind of combine the two, and I have a little concern about how the Texas defense lines up with the Alabama offense. Now, can Jalen Milroe, can Tommy Reese, can everybody scheme up a game plan against Pete Kwiatkowski and those schemes? 100%. 100%. All I'm going off of is what I saw in fall camp, what I heard in fall camp mostly, only a little bit of seeing in fall camp, what I heard through fall camp, what I saw on Saturday with my own 2 eyes, and then flipping the television this week and seeing Texas and Rice for those 60 minutes. Is that a complete sample size? No, it's not. Many people are going to go away from week 1 and, oh my gosh, Florida State, you're the national champions. Oh, Colorado, you're 2nd place. Oh, great. You're the Hike national champion. No. Week 1 is just week 1. Week 1 is a time where you just, I think my suspicion might be right. Let's keep watching and seeing. Let's get the sample size a little bit bigger. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for week number 2 with Texas and Alabama, because the sample size that we see in week number 2, these 60 minutes that we're about to watch for both teams, is going to be much, much more valuable than what we saw from both teams in the 60 minutes prior. Now, my man Wendell Hare hits a point that is going to be a very, very important for this coming up weekend. Milroe and his legs. I think you're going to see a lot more designed quarterback runs. I think you're going to see a lot more rollouts. I think you're going to see a lot more moving the pocket, creating situations where Milroe has fewer reads to make. Now, a lot of people were judging Jalen Milroe this weekend because, he hit his first read. He didn't work through his progression. Mother bleeper, if the first read is open and he throws it and it's a completion, okay. in that football 101, I mean, now granted, the first football game or the next football game I coach will be the first. But if my quarterback has a first read and it is open and he delivers it and it becomes a completion for 6 to 15 to 20 to 30, whatever the case may be, yards, I'm happy. Keep us on schedule, Jalen Milroe. That's going to be the main objective, really, this coming up weekend. Keep the Alabama offense on schedule, just like Wendell with the bad snap. If the bad snap could have been, look, you take Bryce Young, and I love you, Bryce. Oh no, you take Mac Jones, you take Tua Tagovailoa, you pick up that ball, and you probably get sacked. Maybe, probably, likely. You're looking at a long down and distance. What did Jalen Milroe do? He picked the ball up, he weaved his way through the offensive line, and even if he had gotten tackled by the first defender, it's a 5-6 yard rush. It's a 5-6 yard gain off a busted play, and he keeps us on schedule for the next play. But no. My man's athleticism is so strong, is so fast, is so agile that he weaves to the right-hand side, he works his way up the sideline, he catches a block, goes back to the inside and goes in. Alabama touchdown. Everybody says roll tide, and off and running we go. It's going to be very important to stay on schedule this weekend. Texas's defense looks like they are high pressuring, going after the football, and really trying to create havoc plays. I'm thinking about the ball game this weekend, and I'm like, all right, what's it going to be? What's the outcome going to be? Now, I'm still feeling confident about Alabama. I am, and I'm not backing off that by any means. And I got 3 more days to discuss that, and we look forward to doing that right here on the Joe Gaither Show. Look, you got 3 more days to kind of decide your pick and feel your pick. I'm feeling very confident about Alabama. Now, what I'm feeling a little bit shaky about is their defense against our offensive line. Now, the confidence becomes our defense. Our defense against their offensive line. I think the plays are it's really going to be determined what happens on the outside, what happens around the outside on the Alabama offense, and what happens on the outside with the Alabama or with the Texas offense. Will Quinn Ewers be able to really unleash Xavier Worthy? Look, he was all over the field against Rice. Great. Go Owls, or whatever the case may be. I feel confident about Terrion Arnold. I feel confident about Terrion. I feel confident about Kool-Aid keeping up with Xavier Worthy. Now, he's going to get his receptions. He's probably going to catch, 6 balls, 70 yards, something like that. He's a good receiver. And when he does make plays, it's not on, I mean, it might be, but generally, I would say you're going to credit Xavier Worthy over tearing down Terrion Arnold or Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'm really excited to see this matchup because I think it sets up for a kind of defensive showdown. Now, you don't get defensive showdowns like they used to be in college football. Somebody just asked me about an hour ago what my prediction for the game is, and after seeing Texas play Rice, I'm feeling 24-20 Alabama. That's kind of where I'm starting to settle. 24-20 Alabama, because Texas is going to. You're not going to shut them out. You're not going to keep them out of the end zone like you did against MTSU. Look, MTSU got themselves a touchdown, but they didn't really threaten Alabama's defense that much. I'm feeling like it's going to be a 24-20 game. It's going to be like sitting in a dentist chair for 3.5 hours, and Alabama, and it's going to go back and forth. But Alabama, I feel confident in the mental makeup. I feel confident in the mental makeup of the Alabama offense to kind of take the initial wave, take the initial punch that Texas's defense is going to deliver, and be able to look. This Alabama offense is versatile. This Alabama offense can get after you in many different ways, in my opinion. You can run the football and just be patient with that at 3-4 yards a pop, at 2-3 yards a pop. Now, granted, Texas, they held Rice to 1.1 yards per carry. 1.1 yards per carry on how many rushes did they go on? Look, they gave up 1.1 yards on 27 rushes. So it's not like, look, they didn't stick with the run game like Alabama will. We're not going to run the ball for just 27 times. We'll probably run it 40 times. We'll probably run it 40, 45 times, really. And so Alabama's offense is going to just keep hammer, and they'll break them down eventually. Wendell Hare with another strong comment right there on the Facebook section, and you can jump in on the Facebook section, YouTube section if you want to at Joe Gaither 6. Bama's running back depth can weaken Texas's defensive line, making passing and big runs possible. That's exactly right. It's exactly right because look, they're going to come after you early. And look, if you get a sack or two, if you end up having to punt in the early part, don't panic. Don't jump off the Milrow bandwagon. Exactly what Wendell is saying. The depth, the hammering, it eventually gives way. It eventually gives way, and boom, you hit Amari Niblack for a 40-yard touchdown pass. You hit Isaiah Bond for a big old touchdown pass. You get over the top because, look, they're going to have to come. They're going to have to go right at your face to stop the Alabama running game. Much like 2020, when your Alabama offensive line was really, really strong, you had Dickerwood. I just combined two of them. Landon Dickerson, Alex Leatherwood. You had a great offensive line, really. And you had, in my opinion, the most talented running back in Nick Saban's history with Najee Harris. Najee was so versatile, had great agility, had pretty daggum good speed, could catch the ball out of the backfield. I know Derrick Henry is the fan favorite, but I just love Najee Harris. So in 2020, in order to stop Najee and stop that offensive line, you had a lot of defenses come up into the box and give really simple or easy reads for Mac Jones. Mac Jones, they're coming up. They're trying to stop Najee Harris. Let's check into a pass. And there's my Heisman Trophy winning wide receiver on the outside. He's going to get open. The offensive line's going to protect me, and boom, 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 we're hitting you over the top. And likewise, if they say, we're going to have to stop Devontae Smith, we're going to stay out of the box, we're going to, play a little shell. You remember Arkansas basically playing that 3-deep shell, that cover 4 shell all game long. Well, Mac Jones, I don't think he had a touchdown pass in that game, but just checked it down, and hammered the football, running the ball. I think we're going to look a lot like that the rest of the year. The Alabama running game is going to be a problem, especially with Jalen Milrow at the helm. It's going to be a problem. And so defenses are going to have to declare, are we blitzing? Are we running stunts? Are we, bringing extra guys into the box? And Jalen will start to see that. Jalen will see that, and we'll hit him over the top. Isaiah Bond, his speed. Malik Benson, his speed. They'll hit him over the top. I'm really excited about this weekend's matchup. But my takeaways from Texas, to kind of put a bow on it, my takeaways from the Texas-Rice game was their offensive line looked shaky and made me really, really excited about the Alabama defensive front. But subsequently, their defense looked very, very aggressive. Very strong, getting 2 sacks, holding Rice to 1.1 yards per rush, forcing 3 turnovers, really, really getting after JT Daniels and making him highly uncomfortable. So due to that, Alabama's offensive line, Alabama's offense as a whole has to find patience, has to be patient and persistent. Oh, man, maybe the persistence is just as important as the patience. You have to continue to believe that if we keep hammering, we keep protecting, we keep, doing our jobs up front, then Jalen Milrow, just like my man Wendell Harris said, is going to be able to find a guy over the top. He's going to be able to beat somebody deep. And look, if Texas goes into man coverage, if they go into man coverage, I don't know that Texas has a linebacker who can spy on Jalen Milrow. I don't feel confident in that at all from a Texas perspective. Jalen Milrow is that dude at quarterback, and really, really excited to see him continue to develop. I think really on Monday, look, we talked about it earlier in the conversation with my man Jason Stonehouse, pastor and author right here at St. Mark Church. Look, Coach Saban giving Jalen Milrow media availability on Monday is basically as good an endorsement as any. That the quarterback competition is not over. It's not over. Jalen obviously has to continue to play well. He does have to play well to hold on to the job. But basically, it's his to lose for the remainder of the season. As long as he plays kind of like he did on Saturday or close to it, don't turn the daggum ball over. Don't put us in terrible positions. End every drive in a kick, whether it be hopefully an extra point or a field goal or a punt. End every drive at a kick. Give your defense a chance against the other team. Look, I think it's Jalen Milrow's job to lose. My man Wendell Harris, even if a linebacker can, exactly. That's my point. If they do put a spy on him, look, you saw the Arkansas run last year. They employed a spy on Jalen Milrow. He ran right around him. Even the comment for our listening audience, even if the linebacker can spy him, they still have to catch him. Exactly. And even if they catch him, like a couple of those MTSU defenders did on that first run, they were there for the tackle. Honestly, they were. Jalen Milroe ran right through him, ran right through their arms. So that's the factor, the X factor. You want to call a spy on Jalen Milroe? Fine. I like Alabama's chances. I like Jalen Milroe's chances against pretty much any linebacker on the schedule, pretty much any safety on the schedule. Whether it be you can't catch me because I'm so fast, or hey, you did catch me, but I'm going to run right through you because I am so powerful. All right, so that's going to be kind of my Alabama and my Texas rant real quick. I've only got a couple minutes left on the show, and I appreciate everybody jumping in. Miss Julene jumping on the comments. Wendell Hare jumping in on the comments. Watching us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You guys can hang out with us on and find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. You can find me on the social medias at Joe Gaither6. It's going to be a fun weekend. You can go ahead and vote on my poll on Twitter. Are you taking Alabama minus the 7? Or are you taking Texas plus the 7? We'll look forward to seeing the results of those polls as we get closer to the end of the week. And I'm really excited. So, look, the last topic that I want to get into is the Deion Sanders Colorado topic just a little bit. Deion was a little out of pocket this past weekend, but I think that he knows that, and I think it was on purpose, being a little loud with the, y'all didn't believe in us. A strong black man scares America. To a certain degree, he's right on that. But he basically said, we're doing something that's never been done before. Oh, man, here at Colorado. Well, little breaking news for you, Deion Sanders. You're not the first black coach at Colorado. You're not. You're the third in recent memory. And he said, we're leading a roster that's 75% African-American. Look, I didn't do the math on the Alabama roster, and I haven't looked at the math on the rest of the roster. Unless it's Clemson, I think that a lot of rosters have 75% African-American participation. So, Deion, look, I know you're just trying to give your team confidence. I know you're just trying to continue to build up your team so they continue to believe in you and believe in themselves and play well. You were a 20-point underdog against TCU, and definitely congratulations. Congratulations going to TCU and winning. Absolutely. It was an impressive performance. Your son, 500 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Extremely impressive performance, not taking anything away from the athleticism and the execution on the field. They played great. They played really well. Travis Hunter looked like something I have not seen in college football in a long time. Playing both sides of the ball, receiving 100 and some yards, 120 yards, getting the interception. Oh my gosh, that interception down there in the red zone for the Colorado Buffaloes was impressive. He erased points. He took points away from TCU. He was incredible. If not for Caleb Williams winning the Heisman last year and already having kind of a little bit of an edge on the Heisman Trophy race right after the going into the season, Travis Hunter is my Heisman Trophy. Gets my vote right now, and he still might. Let's see how the rest of the season goes. It's incredible. Absolutely insane. If you're going to play both sides of the ball over 100 snaps, I'm not taking any credit away from you. I'm going to applaud and cheer and say, wow, absolutely amazing. And it was amazing on Saturday. It was. But Deion, I kind of think that your actions and your antics of y'all didn't believe in us. You can't ask a question because you didn't believe in us. I read that BS you wrote. I read that hooey that you wrote. I kind of think you're taking away from your team's performance. You went into TCU and you beat the defending the runners-up. Yeah, people can debate whether they should have been in the playoff or not, and that's fair. You can debate that. Absolutely fair. But what you can't debate is they were in the playoff. They did beat Michigan. Now, they got pantsed. They got absolutely hosed against Georgia. They got absolutely dismantled against Georgia. But the fact of the matter is, they were in the title game. Now, of course, people are saying, you beat the runners-up. They're not the same team. I didn't see Max Duggan out there on the field. I didn't see Max Duggan and all his teammates out there on the field for the Horned Frogs. So there is a little bit of disingenuity to the take that they're the same team. No, they're not at all. Come on. Deion, I don't know. Granted, look, I enjoy being the fool sometimes. I definitely enjoy being the fool sometimes. I'm fine if you guys want to laugh at me on the program anytime in the comments. You want to make fun of anything I say, any look that I give. It's fine. No problem. I enjoy being the fool from time to time. And so a part of me thinks that Deion was kind of enjoying being the fool just a little bit. But I think you took away from your son's performance a little bit. I think you took your son's performance just a hair. I mean, your son threw for 500 yards. Your son threw for 500 yards, and Wendell, yes, you're right. I mean, it was a Pac-12 and Big 12 team, and they will play Nebraska this weekend, Big Ten team, and Nebraska coming off of a loss to Minnesota in overtime. It's not like they're playing superpowers. Look, TCU deserves your respect for winning the Big 12 last year, but like I just said, it's not the same football team that went out there and won the Big 12 last year. Colorado let it go through the rest of the season before we all crown them national champions, before we put them in the playoff. It's just like I said earlier. Week one sample sizes is it's not enough. It's not a big enough sample size to sit there and say, look, I felt good about Alabama walking out of Bryant-Denny Stadium, but I can't sit there and say they're going to be national champions. I saw Georgia beat UT Martin, and okay, they did fine, great, whatever. Obviously, FSU laid the wood to LSU, and North Carolina beat the brakes off South Carolina, but no national championships are given after week one. That's why you hear Coach Saban talk about polls from time to time, and he said, oh, the only poll that matters is the end. It doesn't matter right now. Good job. You had one nice win, and absolutely celebrate your one nice win. But what happens if you end up 1-11? What happens if you end up 2-10? What about the people who said they didn't believe in you, Dion? No, I think that's unlikely. I do think that's unlikely. But what happens if you go 6-6? I mean, granted, Colorado had a terrible year last year, so it would be an improvement. But what happens if you go 5-7 and miss a bowl game? Can we still say, are we valid in our criticisms of not believing in you? No, I think Dion is a great coach. I think he's a good coach. I think he's an above average. He's between good and great. He's not quite great, but he's a little better than good. He's a great recruiter, I'll say that. And he is really good as a motivator, I'll say that. 100% great motivator. But, Dion, let's get into week 2, week 3, week 4. Let's see your boys play a little bit more before we get out there and say, oh, we silenced all the doubters just because we went into TCU and got a big old win. Look, the focus should be on your son throwing for 500 yards. The focus should be on Travis Hunter, not on your ridiculous comments after the game. So, look, we'll watch this weekend. I'll have the Colorado-Nebraska game. I think that's going to be big noon sports. So I'll have that on the TV before I get ready to go to Bryant-Denny Stadium. I will, and I'll watch it. And I'll give you a fair shot, just like I did. I was impressed with you this past weekend. I was. I'll say it. But, come on, you acted a little bit like a fool after the game. And I think you took away a little bit of shine from your team and from your program. All right, so that's going to do it for our show today, and I really appreciate Jason Stonehouse for hanging out with us in the first part of the show. Again, you can read his book or catch either of his books, The Me I Want to Be, the most recent book. It is a spiritually based book, or The Calm Confidence Leader, which is not a spiritually based book, just a kind of a leadership book. Both books out there by Jason Stonehouse. You can search them up on Amazon, or if you want to check them out at church, you do. Or if you don't, no big deal. This is not a pressure point. This is just an opportunity and just letting you know. He's over at St. Mark Church right here on McFarland Boulevard. He preaches at 11 a.m. in the Ark in the back every single week. So I appreciate him coming on and joining us, giving us the perspective of a first-time Alabama fan. Many of us remember our first time in Bryant-Denny Stadium, but my first time was a long time ago. So it's nice to hear it get refreshed with Pastor Jason Stonehouse, pastor and author Jason Stonehouse. Check him out at calmconfidentleader.com. I really appreciate him joining us. We're going to keep it rolling. We've got 2 more fun days until Texas comes to town. College game day's coming to town. Paul Feinbaum's coming to town. The Bald Man, we'll see what he has to say. I know the Bald Man already predicted Texas to win the game. I don't know about that. I think he's just trying to make some headlines. I'll leave you with 24-20 is where I'm kind of feeling right now, Alabama on Saturday night. So we'll be back tomorrow. You can follow us again, all the social medias at BamaCentral, at Joe Gaither 6. See us right there at BamaCentral.com. Oh, check out, if you want to see the silly sound montage on a standalone version, it's right there on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. You can subscribe to the BamaCentral YouTube channel and never miss any of the action, an episode, a coaching interview, a player interview. It's right there at BamaCentral's YouTube channel, and we appreciate everybody watching us each and every day. So we'll be back tomorrow. You, the listener, you, the viewer, you're why I do it. And I appreciate you guys so much. Love making the connections. Wendell Hare, you're the man. I appreciate you hanging out with us in the comments today. And we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.